Welcome back, everyone. I'm Diva, and this is Langrisser Mobile. Alright, it's a new month, and there's quite a bit to go over. Obviously, there's a new banner, and hopefully my luck will improve, because last month was awful. But there are now covenants. So we got the first one, which is Thor. For the most part, he's like an additional summon that can be used in PvE. But his little talent tree thing here, or sphere grid, or whatever you wish to call it, actually provides bonuses to heroes and soldiers as well. So leveling him up to increase your own stats does work, and it does say here that it applies to both PvE and PvP. So the boost is always welcome. So that is definitely a direction to work towards. The progression for it is a bit gated based off your Covenant's level, and there's of course King of Aurora and all that, so can't get any further until I hit level 20 here. There is a shop item that gives you a pretty significant boost at the beginning, gets you about 14 levels right off the bat, which allows you to kind of get a nice little head start on things. Besides that, Secret Realm, the newest item, which I already purchased, which is Diva's Veil for Yulia. It's an armor that increases HP. And if her self-res triggers, she gets an effect that allows her to do fixed damage and heal herself prior to combat, which is pretty useful because usually when she self-reses, she's pretty vulnerable because she's pretty much at minimum HP. So with this in combination with the other helmet that can also get you HP at the prior to combat, she might actually be able to survive a hit. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive right into this. So our newest banner is, of course, the Song of Blazing Glory, which includes Suzette and Christiane. Christiane is, of course, the main focus of all of it. She's a tank. She's a magic defense tank that can counter at range, and she has a princess faction buff. Really good, because the princess faction definitely needed a better faction buffer than the two that they already had, and having faction buffers, of course, on your tank is generally preferable over anything else. She's pretty powerful. She's not as strong as Hilda as far as pure tanking and I guess utility is concerned, but she does still provide quite a bit. And like I said, it does provide you more faction options instead of having to rely on characters like Landius. And then the other character is Suzette, who is an archer that is mostly focused on like long-range AoE artillery strikes. She does have access to one assassination move, which is Riposte, but unfortunately that's not really kind of her primary focus. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive right into this. I don't know if I'm anywhere near Petty, so I'm just going to pull and we're just going to go. Supposedly SP Narm is coming out as well. SP Narm is essentially just a raw improvement over regular Narm. I may see about trying to use her in PvP once I get her, but I also need to get her enchants up because her enchants aren't great right now. What's kind of interesting about SP Narm is she does have she has some conditional guard bypasses. One of them is based off mobility, which kind of sucks because there's not really an easy way to get mobility down on people in Apex now because of Rosen Seal and of course Hilda. But she also has another guard bypass, which will guard bypass anything it'll guard bypass if she's targeting a flyer, which is really interesting because archers are supposed to be all about destroying flyers, but most cases you can't really destroy the flyers if a tank is nearby because they can jump from ground level to all the way up to the flyers to block the arrows. So I think it's really neat because it's really something that I feel all archers should have, or have something similar where they have the ability to specifically target flyers because that's what they're supposed to be countering. And I mean, for the most part, as far as like Apex is concerned, it wouldn't be considered overpowered in my opinion, simply because there's not that. I mean, I've seen many of the boxes, and most of them don't have that many flyers. Usually, they just take Ares, and that's about it. But still, it's an interesting idea. And with Narm's higher in her SP class, will have higher mobility as well. Alright, well, we're at 50 already. The only issue about using SP Narm is I have to actually have to find space for her. I mean, the only person I can really replace is Moo. Alright, that's 60 summons. Like I said, I don't know how far I was from Pity from the previous run. I kind of lost my notes on that. I definitely want to get as many Christians as possible, like that one. Okay. Noble lady, a maiden of a family that shoulders a great mission and holds ambitious dreams. So we got Christiane, which is great. I definitely would like more of them. I will try to get Suzette as well, but she's not really a priority. I need to get as many Christianes as possible because it really affects her kit. Her talent gives her actually a negative trait at the very beginning of a combat, and the higher her star rating, the less of those stacks she'll have. In any case, let's go ahead and keep pulling. So already better than my previous run, where my first pull was Betty. The banner after this one, I believe, is Alpha, and was it Transcender or whatever his name is? Alpha is not really anything too special, but I wouldn't mind getting her. I think you have to have Transcender to get the bond unlocks for Alpha, so I'll technically need both characters for that. In any case, I'll use what I have as far as summons are concerned. We'll see where we're at. As for awakenings, aside there's Suzette Christiane, of course, and then there is Narm and Sophia. Sophia's 3C is pretty decent. It's pretty much a better area heal that dispels buffs, but not only does it dispel buffs, it dispels buffs before the heal's actually applied, so there's a chance you can dispel things like heal negation before you heal. Unfortunately, I just don't have room for Sophia anymore, so... And I don't need the generic buffing she does anymore. Alright. It's looking like Pity for this one. We're at 70. So... Not great, but it's still technically better than my last month. Like, that's just how bad last month was. If it weren't for the fact that I didn't have Old Landius, I could have just skipped that banner too. But since I didn't have Old Landius, I was kind of screwed. All right, this is a pity. Okay, we got both. Alright, so yeah, I got Suzette. Captain of the Special Forces Vanguard, a seasoned soldier who seeks the romance of muskets and whiskey. I believe her factions are Reincarnation and Meteor. And then Christiane's factions are Princess, Reincarnation, and Empire, I think it is. So yeah, I do want multiple copies. Here's hoping I can get multiple Christianes, but chances are I'll just be multiple Suzettes. I kind of went back and forth whether... Sorry, I accidentally... My mouse double-clicked there. So we'll just click through this to make sure. I'm pretty sure I didn't get anything. My mouse is... I read through the buttons on these mice like crazy. Like, they'll just get to the point where they just don't function like they're supposed to. Anyway, I was saying something. Yeah, so I was kind of going back and forth whether or not to use Christiane, or at least initially. Because I was like, you know, I got Freya. But my last match with Freya just did not go well, and since her faction buff is not that useful, even when she gets her 3C, which is a better faction buff, arguably, there's just... She just doesn't do enough anymore. She doesn't... As a tank, she doesn't provide enough support besides the faction buff. I mean, she's supposed to be a spiky tank where she does a lot of fixed damage, which of course doesn't really help in this current meta too much. Kind of lost count. I think this is either 3 or 4. Yeah, our rate's not great. But I did have, besides last month, all the months prior to that were really rather good. So I guess karma's balancing itself out. Still, I would like to not burn all my resources. But I'm not too... If I have to skip alpha, that's not the end of the world. I think that was 60. Either 60 or 70. So still above average, or still below average rate, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, another Christiane, so it's she's 4 stars now. Okay. Oops. Yeah, that's my mouse double clicking again. Yeah, that's my mouse double clicking when it instantly does it. Yeah, my mouse is... Like I said, I go through these like crazy. I eventually switched to a wireless mouse, hoping that would be better, but it isn't. Alright, well, again, we're below average. So not the best rate. 80 summons now. So not quite pity. Alright, second Suzette, so she's 4 stars. Alright, well, let's use the last of these. I might not be able to hit, get anything else with the remaining crystals I have. Alright, last one. Okay. Another Suzette. Alright. Not the best, but it is what it is. Alright. Yeah, so on average, you're supposed to be getting at least 1 SSR every 50 summons. Now, I may have miscounted because it's really early right now, but it was 60, 100, so that's pity, 60, 80, and 40. So overall, not a very good rate. And we got more Suzettes than we got Christians, which that's usually how it goes. So yeah, damage taken reduced by, well in this case 18%. Then you have 4 stacks of effulgence, which increases your damage taken by 2% each. Cannot be dispelled. If this unit has 2 or less stacks of effulgence, when taking fatal damage, you'll revive. Could only happen once. And then if you lose all your stacks of effulgence, attacks before the enemy when counterattacking and deals 20% increased damage. And you gain a whisper effect, which is based off how many units are available, as well as how many female units there are. So yeah, her entire thing is about getting rid of those stacks as quickly as possible. So you generally want her at high stars, that way she can get rid of the stacks before bad things happen. She does have access to Justice, which used to be just an Amelia-only ability. And a few other things that are kind of unique about her is she has access to Angels. Yeah, her tanking options are kind of weird. She has access to Phalanxes, which is completely normal. Her classes, she can either be Cavalry or Infantry, so she cannot be Spears. She does have access to Empress, Personal Guard. She hacks in Angels, both of which are really good against magic attacks. So her entire gimmick is usually to be pretty resistant to magic in general. Anyway, we'll do a quick level up there, just get that out of the way. And then we'll get Suzette. Alright. Crit chance and damage dealt to targets in Suzette's line of sight increased by 8%. So line of sight means a straight line from her, so no diagonals. When actively attacking and dealing critical damage, deals fixed damage to the target and all adjacent enemies 1 block adjacent to the target equal to 0.8 times attack once. Each target can only be hit by this effect, once by this effect. So yeah, her entire thing is AoEs. She has a lot of skills that do AoE damage, and then when she attacks, she also could potentially do additional AoE damage. Very similar to Joshua, I think is the name. But she's kind of awkward to use overall. And soldier-wise, she does have access to Dwarf Adventurers, which of course makes all her skills linear, which is completely fine for her. And there you go. Alright. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it a video here. When I do go over the awakenings and stuff, I'll show off the characters then. So until next time, I am The Depressed Hero, and this was Langrisser Mobile, Song of Blazing Glory. I'll see you guys next time.